We pick up our story in chapter 14 called Bensy Knees. Why I wanted to become a ski instructor, I had no idea. Perhaps it was because I felt I had something to impart that would help beginners. After teaching the school kids on the hill behind the old baseball field in Breckenridge, I must have felt I'd had some experience. During 4 years at the courthouse, I'd been able to persuade my deputy to stay in the office after 4 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'd meet the school kids at the field and teach them as best I could. In return for this sacrifice on my deputy's part, I did the same for her in the summer months. Ski instructors seemed to have so much fun. Perhaps that was my main reason, to be part of that elite group of which Max was a member. My first and futile attempt at taking the ski instructor's certification examination was back in '48. This exam was a one-day affair held at Loveland Pass. We were told to meet the first examiner who would put us through the beginning stage at the top of the hill. Now, this was the steepest part of the area. There we would demonstrate the snowplow and the beginning part of teaching. I remember the examiner was Rudy Schackenberg. I made the comment to him, "I doubt I'd want to take a beginner skier up here." Rudy said nothing, but I felt from the expression on his face that he agreed with me. Later I found out that each examiner was just told where to stand. As I progressed down the hill to each station, the stage of teaching became more advanced until I was almost at the flat bottom of the hill, where we were to demonstrate the parallel turn. I wondered if I'd have enough momentum to accomplish 2 turns. It was so flat. So I only did 1. The examiner looked at me and said, "I've never heard of you. Besides, you're supposed to do 2 turns like this." He proceeded to demonstrate. On his second turn, he overturned and skidded backwards into a wind-formed hollow beneath a large spruce tree. After helping him out of the hole, I asked him, "You mean like that? And come to think of it, I've never heard of you either." I was not surprised at the end of the day when I was informed I hadn't passed. Willie Schaeffler came to Arapahoe that fall. How the ski instructor's examination changed. What a contrast to the previous year's forest ranger, teenage ski racer, and president of the Rocky Mountain Ski Association examiners. Some of them have never taught a day of skiing. The exception was Rudy, who was very well qualified to teach and examine. Willie's arrangements at Arapahoe included only examiners who were ski instructors of long standing. Ernie Blake, ski school director of Santa Fe Ski Basin and later Taos Ski Valley. George Engel, director of the Winter Park Ski School. Plus, of course, Rudy and Max, who seemed happy to be with people who knew what they were doing. Examination day arrived after several grueling days of skiing with these men. For the final test, I would go through teaching all of the turns, having each one of the men as the pupil and I as the teacher. Just as I was getting into the lift line to go up the mountain to meet the examiners way up in Lenawee Park, the lift broke down. We were told it would be down the rest of the day. What to do? The only choice was to climb. I climbed and climbed until I thought I would collapse. I made it to the exam point just in time. Thankfully, they were sympathetic and let me catch my breath enough so I could begin to teach. Most important was to correct their obvious and deliberate mistakes. In the evenings, we had written tests. At the end of the evening's exam, I was told I had passed. I felt jubilant because I had passed a good, hard, and complete test, not a slipshod one. It was a thrill for me to be a certified instructor, for I couldn't think of anything more rewarding than bringing a beginner from an awkward, tense snowplow to a relaxed and more graceful parallel turn. It wasn't much longer before we began the ski season with the large Rocky Mountain News / Willie Scheffler Ski School. Almost all of the classes consisted of complete beginners. The practice slope was like a human anthill, with the classes practically back to back. However, an excellent open bowl was at Midway. It had the best run out to slow down the beginners. The problem for the instructor was how to get the morning class down after the first lesson and still be ready for the afternoon class starting at 1 o'clock. I hit on a wonderful idea. One of our pretty ski bums, who could ski quite well, wanted to become a ski instructor. I told her to hurry through her work in the morning, drive up to the basin, go right up to Midway, where she could arrive just as I started my class down the road. It worked beautifully. The class had learned to snowplow turn, and step turnaround. Skiing down this easy road gave the beginners the feeling of constant movement forward without having to climb back up and wait their turn. With the ski bum bringing up the rear, she could check on anyone lagging behind or help novices get up after a fall. This eliminated my having to climb back up to help. Then the rest of the class was not kept waiting. Soon, with many eager, wishing to be instructors, the ski school had enough help to give each instructor an apprentice. Apprentices were of great help as the classes grew. I can remember having a class of 28 one Saturday. It was hard to keep track of who was in the class and who was just skiing by. Many a surprised skier would look up at me wondering, why was I yelling my comments at them? I had believed that being a ski instructor would help me become a much better racer. How wrong I was. After days of teaching beginners and intermediates, I found I was exaggerating or over-demonstrating a turn. At that time, we were teaching the old Arlberg technique, which didn't help my slalom either. When Eric Windisch arrived from Garmisch to teach at Arapahoe, he brought with him the new Austrian technique. He showed me my mistakes in slalom and gave me more advanced classes now and then. Also, he arranged for me to teach a group of young women from Loretto Heights who wanted to form a racing club. I shall never forget one of them saying to me, "It's a great help to see you running the gates. We all tell ourselves, if she can do it, we can." If I can do it, you can. I borrowed this phrase when teaching regular classes. Knowing most of the members were considerably younger than I, it always made them laugh.